Yo, it's your man with the plan, Marcelars here reacting to a video from Tag the Legend. So this is somebody I honestly just recently found, and I'm honestly, you know what, I forgot to do this. Let me hit subscribe because I do think his content is pretty decent. But I do want to kind of go through this video where it's something that is near and dear to my heart, and it's definitely, even for my channel, it's been affecting the direction of my channel because I am a big JRPG RPG head, and I definitely feel like, and I say JRPG, I know it's not the most cool term, that the developers don't like it when you call it JRPG, but this specifically is a problem that JRPGs have, that they keep on remaking games. They aren't coming out with new entries, and it's just like, and I'll kind of go into it as we talk through the video, but it just feels like I don't like, people look at my channel like, you're into gacha games all the time. I don't want to be in gacha games, but to get that same feeling I get from RPGs, the Chinese or the Koreans or even maybe a few Japanese developers on the gacha game side are somewhat delivering what I want. And it's just like, it's such a thing, because I was going to make a video like this myself sooner or later, but you know, he beat me to it. So I'm gonna watch your video. Please follow Tag the Legend, and honestly, I'll give you my 2 cents. This might also start becoming more of an argument of like how the lack of new RPGs affects, honestly, like the gacha game market, and how that makes people go over to gacha. So I'm definitely gonna give you some of my hot takes in here, if it goes the direction I think it's gonna go. I only watched like a minute of it. So all right, everybody, let's get started.
Few JRPGs that you got excited for. Now, think about how many of those were actually new. Think about the last few JRPGs that you got excited for.
What's the last JRPG I got excited for?
Think about how many of those were actually
7 remake,
and how many of those were actually just remakes that you've already played. At some point, that stops feeling like nostalgia.
Well, those remakes and remasters.
Like a pattern. That's what this video is about. Over the last few years, JRPGs have leaned heavily on remakes, remasters, and definitive editions.
Yeah,
and after a while,
I don't really like it.
All of those labels start to blend together, and it's not because, you know, these games look bad, but because the pattern is just becoming painfully.
Well, that's the thing. It's, these games are genuinely really good. Like, these remakes give you exactly what you want. The problem is, I'm looking for something new. I am a gamer who does not go back to old games unless the game's really good. I am looking for something new. I don't want to keep on playing the same game over and over. I'm just not that kind of gamer, you know, unless it's like Kingdom Hearts or Sonic or something. There's very few games I replay all the time. So this remake stuff is driving me crazy. But I'm not going to pad this out with too much shit, but I'm definitely going to stop every once in a while because I have some things to say.
Obvious. The hype isn't about trying something new anymore. A lot of the time, it's just recognition. And to be clear,
it's recognition and improving on what already came out. What's already come out. It's like you're improving on what they've done before, which is great, but
are locked behind outdated hardware or cost a ridiculous amount to be able to track down and play. But when you look at the release calendar as a whole, the balance is shifted. New entries are appearing less and less often. The announcements stretch further and further apart.
Yeah.
And the empty space filling that void is just games from the past that keep sliding forward.
Well, that's not always true. That's what I kind of talk about too. It's gacha games are filling in the blank. Genshin, you know, Hoyo games, Woo, Arc Knight's Infield. It's, for me, that's what's happening. He's like, you don't want to play these, you don't want to play so many of these games, but you aren't getting what you want. And you want that same taste. And they're the ones that are giving you 80% of what you want. They're giving you 80%. Minus the gacha system, they're giving you 80% what you want. And it's just like, they need, it's in, and I don't even know, like I was telling people in I'm not gonna make this too long, but I was telling people in my chat on stream that this year is like, even though there's so many games coming out this year, unless Nintendo comes out with a direct with some crazy stuff in it, I don't see anything. I only have 5 games I want. GTA. I bought Code Vein already because I just bought Code Vein. Shoot. I think Fire Emblem's coming out this year, and I think there's one other game that I like that's coming out this year. I can't think off the top of my head, but that's like 4 or 5 games. And normally I play about 20. It used to play 20 games per year. So it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just that JRPG segment, and it's getting filled with gacha games, which is pissing me off because I love these gacha games I play. But God, I want regular games to fill up my time. I want them to tear me away from these gacha games. Get me out of gacha hell, please.
At first, it just feels comforting. You already know the characters, the tone, and all of the story beats. You know exactly what kind of experience you're getting. Some of these games really needed to come back. And I won't pretend that I haven't.
Well, some of these games are like outdated and have some outdated mechanics that need to be updated.
That were released before I was old enough to really appreciate them. So seeing them rebuilt now finally lets my generation understand.
Even though I think Final Fantasy Tactics
so beloved. But
it's a little brutal.
I started to kind of feel a little off playing a lot of these because it feels
Persona,
like I'm stepping into
and I gotta say Persona
nostalgia, and I'm not sure these memories hit the same when they aren't formed alongside the rest of the community. I thoroughly
and I gotta say Persona is the worst offender of this. I feel like Persona 6 needs to come out before they do any more remakes after 4. Just saying.
Enjoyed playing Persona 3 Reload, but I know that experience hit entirely different when the first game released and everyone was playing it for the first time together. It's hard for me to explain this feeling, and I don't think just because other people are playing the game affects like my excitement for it. I just think all of the content and the talk around the community elevates that experience.
Yeah,
and then when it
I do miss the community behind JRPGs too.
As much because it's not everyone's first rodeo. But you can feel the shift of the remakes and the remakes.
Oh man, Tales of
during announcement season. A remake trailer drops. The reaction isn't really excitement anymore. It's shifted to being recognition.
Yeah.
People aren't asking anymore what the game is. They ask, how faithful is it going to be to the original version? Which version is it going to be based on if there are previous ports? And what
Tales
changes
of Rise
are
of Last
there?
Tales game, right?
And then the conversation immediately jumps into what probably should have been left alone after the game releases. Now, yes, there is conversation surrounding the game, but it skips a very important part, being curiosity. It skips that entirely and goes straight into comparison with previous versions.
Exactly.
That changes
it's like
the
you
energy
just
around
expect certain
reveals.
things. It's not
Now,
new. It's kind of new.
Feel like they're opening up a curiosity loop where you're excited for the future and what's to come.
You're more like, wow, they did better, not
feeling like
amazed,
because you know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
You're just wondering what's gonna change from the original version.
Exactly.
That changes the energy entirely around reveals because new announcements don't feel like they're generating curiosity loops of what's to come because you're already familiar with it. And I don't think that reaction is the community being negative. It's just what familiarity
It's just what's
does.
familiar. Yeah, it's like you just know what you're gonna get.
The surprises disappear before the trailer even ends. You jump straight to comparison. And over time, that becomes the default lens. Every reveal gets filtered through memory instead of the curiosity of possibility. And once that happens, it limits what announcements are allowed to be. Recognition is easier to predict than curiosity. Predictable reactions are safer than uncertain ones. And
it almost feels like they're running. It's almost what people do when they run out of money. Like, like how they always there's two things that companies do when they run out of money. They either go balls to the walls and come out with a game that's like super like unique or an iteration of something they did before that's like super high, really good done. Like I expect when Sonic's about to die, they're going to release Sonic Adventure 3. They're like, okay, Sonic's about to die, Sonic Adventure 3. And if it bombs, Sonic's gone, or what are you going to do if like Pokemon comes out? They're like, hey, we're going to remake Black and White. We're going to remake Black and White and we're going to make it souped up. And if it fails, then Pokemon's done. That'll never happen, by the way. It definitely feels like the industry is having an issue or something, or like trying to do new engines or something. I don't know. I'm trying to get something new. Give me something new. Give me, like you said, give me something new.
Over time, comfort reshapes expectations. There's also a psychological side to this.
Even if it fails, give me
People
something
are
new. We respect
just
it.
More comfortable with things that they're familiar with. Even outside of gaming, familiarity tends to feel safer than uncertainty. It's why you rewatch shows that you already love, or why you replay games that you already know. It's why comfort media exists at all. That instinct doesn't just disappear because you're a publisher, it scales up. When an entire industry is built by people with the same instinct as the audience, It's not surprising that familiarity keeps winning.
Right.
We're no longer talking about what's coming next. We're talking about what is getting remade next. Speculation moves away from the future. And
yeah, there's no speculation. There's no like.
And when the archives
guesstimation,
working, it changes what success
you're just kind of like happy with what you get. Like, dang, I get another Fire Emblem. I guess it's Fire Emblem 4. Which needs a remake, by the way. It's the one time I gotta say a game needs a remake.
Is easier to sell than something unfamiliar. And so when I started thinking on that, that's when it really started to bother me. JRPG franchise aren't doing this because they ran out of ideas. They're doing it because long-term iteration started to feel more risky.
Exactly.
It's easier to rebuild something players already trust than to ask them to trust you with building something unfamiliar.
Right.
It doesn't break everything at once, but it changes how decisions are made. More energy goes into revisiting and less goes into committing to the future. And once that balance tips far enough, the genre doesn't just stop.
It gets stagnant.
It starts to loop. If you
it gets really stagnant.
Like this one,
the JRPG space has gotten very stagnant.
But now let's move into discussing why remakes feel so much safer. Modern JRPG development costs.
Now hold up, I do gotta say, if we're talking about something that's a remake that breaks through this argument, it is Final Fantasy VII Remake, the whole saga. That is one thing I gotta say. I gotta say, as somebody who's played through the first half of the game of Final Fantasy VII, I had issues with the second half. That's why I could have issues trying to get into the second half, and then I lost my data for it, because I had some technical issues. I really think I think the 7 remake, they should have. It is a remake, but it is such a different remake where I think out of all the remakes out there, it's the most unique one, and I think this one passes. I feel fresh every single time I play this game. no matter how much you know about the story and everything subverts your expectations every single time. This game is a remake, is the best remake in my opinion if you're trying to get a fresh new experience.
It's more and takes even longer than it ever has. Teams are bigger and the production timelines stretch across multiple years. And when you have fully voiced scripts and cinematic cutscenes, that can stack up fast when it comes to development cost.
Yeah.
And when these budgets climb that high, experimentation
when your franchise gets too big, it continues, but at what cost?
A new combat system can split a fan base, or even a tonal shift can spark months of debate online.
Yeah, and it causes a lot of
any slight controversy
infighting,
change, or any censorship can spiral into years and years of fan-based controversy. From the outside, it's easy to see why that kind of reaction feels unpredictable. A remake comes
Why are they remaking Berseria, by the way?
The story worked once.
I'm dating the video a little bit. Why are they remaking this?
And the audience for the game
it's on the same console.
So you're not asking if people will care, you're asking how many are going to show up. That explains why franchises like Final Fantasy keep returning to earlier entries. Final Fantasy VII isn't just popular, it's a historic win for Square Enix.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII is iconic.
It isn't based on nostalgia. It's because it's the safest bet available at the scale of that.
Right. But is this Final Fantasy VII special, in my opinion? I'm not glazing Square Enix, but Final Fantasy is kind of special where it's kind of like Gen 1 of Pokemon. Except it's not Gen 1, but it's like Gen 1 of Pokemon. It's just that iconic. It's like, if there's always going to be off-brand made of, if you know what I'm saying, off-brand, it's going to be spicy content of every character in there. That says something, by the way. If there's somebody keeps on making spicy content of your characters, that means you have a historic, like 10, 20 years later, that means you have a historic character, by the way. Because normally it gives you 2 or 3 years. 2B is one of those characters. You get 2 or 3 years, they draw all these cool things. Final Fantasy VII is a little different, in my opinion. It is not iconic, it is legendary. Pokemon's legendary. As much as you hate Pokemon, it's legendary. It will never, as long as we have history books, it will be in history books. Final Fantasy VII is one of those things too. If you dig deep enough into the Japanese, especially for Japanese people.
Persona also operates in that same lane. Persona 3 Reload isn't about fixing a failure, it's about reconnecting the newer fans, especially the massive new audience, with the foundation.
Yeah,
of the
five really got people on there. I started
Persona in the first place.
Original 4. That's when I started.
Those fans didn't grow up playing Persona 3 or Persona 4. So for many of them, those stories aren't their memories, they're just gaps. You played Persona 5, but maybe you don't want to try Persona 3 or Persona 4 because of the visuals. And so remaking these games allows Atlas to fill those gaps for the newer audience.
It's money, easy money.
And I think
rebound. It's a rebound. They're just rebounding all the time.
When a remake
That's what all these remakes and spin-offs they do for a Persona is.
It
Rebounds.
becomes a reference point. Every future project gets compared against it, even when that comparison
Nothing
isn't
but net.
fair. Why take a risk when the remake just worked? Why greenlight something that's unproven when people already showed up last time for the game that we just released? And those questions and thoughts don't just come from lack of creativity. It doesn't from reality of running a business. And at this scale,
and it doesn't help that they blame us when they fuck up. When they fuck up the original idea, they blame us for it. They're like, oh, Star Fox, you don't like Star Fox because you did not like the new Star Fox game. We really put or you didn't like Metro Prime 4. We fucked it up. And well, you guys didn't buy it, so we're just gonna kill Metro Prime. It's like, no, just make it's a decent one or one that's within expectations. Stop doing this crap. Stop killing franchises by making a bad game and then saying we don't want it. That happens a lot too.
JRPGs cost too much for failure to be taken lightly. And once a remake or a remaster becomes the safest benchmark in the room, everything new suddenly starts to look more riskier by comparison. A sequel or a new idea have to be justified and fully explained. A remake doesn't.
A lot of this stuff is going to indie games. Indie games are being a lot more risky,
and that creates a
which is crazy.
And the more successful remakes become, the harder it is for new projects to escape their pool. Even when studios want to move forward, they're doing
the
it.
Tales of franchise is going to have to either remake an old game or they're going to have to make a new game.
Ambition isn't disappearing.
They can't just keep on remaking if they stop at Berseria.
Development
conversations are going to do a rise. Highly doubt it.
What comes next, and starts to ask what feels the safest to stand beside. That's how remakes stop being backups and start becoming the standard that everything else is measured against. Dragon Quest has a different relationship with its past. The series doesn't try and reinvent itself every generation. It's modernizing itself slowly and keeping its identity.
You play one Dragon Quest game,
purpose.
you kind of got the gist, at least outside of the story for every other one.
It doesn't feel like the franchise is searching for itself. It feels like maintenance. These same points also apply to the Yakuza franchise and the Trail series. The goal isn't to redefine the entire series. It's to keep the foundation and the earlier games more accessible. Dragon Quest uses remakes to reinforce
that's what Kingdom Hearts used to do all the time.
Final Fantasy and Persona use them to recenter themselves after they make drastic changes with each mainline entry, because both of these series are still settling on what they want the modern version to look like.
Right.
Persona, I believe, has found that with Persona 5, but Final Fantasy is still searching. Regardless though, all three of these examples rely on the past, they just rely on it for different reasons.
Right.
And once remakes become stability anchors instead of side projects, they begin shaping the entire pipeline. Familiar ideas are easily gonna get approved faster, and newer ones are gonna need stronger justification. Forward motion with mainline entry slows, not because everyone just decided to stop, but because certainty keeps winning with remakes. Now the shift to the era we're in of remakes, remasters, and definitive editions didn't just happen all at once. There was no meeting where publishers decided to stop releasing mainline entries quicker. It happened through habits that feel reasonable. Remakes initially just started as side projects, then they began to fill gaps.
Then they started making a lot of money.
And then they became the
then they started making
on the schedule.
Then they started becoming big.
This transition, familiarity just continued to outperform uncertainty. Ports do what they're supposed to do. Old stories draw that attention without explanation, and new ideas, those come with variables that no one can fully control.
And that's the problem I kind of have, where I feel like that's when I start getting pushed to gacha games and stuff like that. It's like they just keep on going to the same thing over and over and over again, and to the point where, like he's saying, where it's just kind of like the familiar. They prioritize familiar ideas over honestly new ones, but then there's these Chinese and Korean more than it is Japanese. Honestly, Japanese gacha games tend to follow a very similar formula too. Unless some of them have changed over the years, but I haven't played a lot of Japanese gacha games in a while. Where it's like, oh, this is like maybe the story's a little off, maybe Paimon talks too much in Genshin or something, but it kind of is what I'm looking for. It's kind of what I'm looking for. An open, colorful world with these characters, with a nice with a story that's okay enough to where the lore enhances it, like Kingdom Hearts or something like that. Because Kingdom Hearts, it's been almost 8 years. Kingdom Hearts 4 still, or no spin-offs or anything has came out about it. So I guess I have to play, I have to find something to do my time if I want to continue to be in this hobby, And you know what? Indies and gacha games have been filling it in. And it blows. It freaking blows. Oh my goodness. Just give me some new games. It's like if I keep on seeing remakes, but I want to play them, I want to buy them, but it's like unless they're drastically different, like Final Fantasy Remake, it pushes me towards the other stuff. And they need to they really need to focus on the big games and then worry about the remakes after they make a big game announcement, maybe every 5 years maximum. You need a big game every 5 years maximum. And then you can worry about Persona 4 remake, Persona 3 remake. But, until then, I don't want to hear about it until you get your main franchise under control. I don't need to wait 10 years for your main franchise with 30 remakes in between. Sorry. It just is. It's not as much as fun as they are, my opinion.
That doesn't kill new concepts. It just delays them and puts them on the shelf. The idea is going to sit longer, or we have to soften the direction of the game. And so that makes these mainline installments take more time because nothing feels safe enough yet until it continuously has iteration over iteration until it feels like something safe to release. And it's easy to feel that in how long these mainline
Oh my god, I forgot about Dragon Quest 11.
The gap
is that 12?
Wider, but the communication is becoming
Dragon Quest
clearer
12.
on
Oh my
the
god,
line.
that's been announced
And
such a long
these
time ago.
waits with no information or trailers don't just affect development schedules. They start to affect memory. When releases stretch from 5 to 6 years apart, franchises aren't just staying frozen in place. The audience around them that grew to
literally
love
growing
these
out of it.
franchises begin to change.
Yeah.
New players aren't growing alongside the series either. They're beginning to age past it. There was an era where Final Fantasy released almost every year, and so if you started at 13 years old, you grew with the franchise. If you started your journey with Final Fantasy 15 at 13 and you became a fan, by
16.
the time you got your next mainline installment,
8
you
years?
would have been around 20. And when you factor that in, you have to find something else to fill that void, and maybe something or another franchise pulls you away from the love that you initially had with that Final Fantasy. And when you factor in that gap, that just becomes another reason why these remakes become so useful. They're refreshing that 13-year-old's awareness without asking the franchise to evolve or make a new game.
Right.
They keep the name visible without requiring it to say something new, but that convenience just creates another loop. The longer the wait, the more useful the more your franchise become,
the more your franchise dies though, kinda.
The easier it is to delay committing to what's next with the mainline entry.
Because sooner or later a group of people aren't going to relate to your stuff
thing applies
as
to
much
other
the same
franchises.
way.
We can take
And then your
Persona
franchise is gonna be
5,
in
for
trouble.
example. If that same 13-year-old fell in love with Persona 5 at its release date, they're 23 now, and the next Persona is nowhere in sight.
Exactly.
The only thing you have to tie you to that franchise is Persona 3 Reload. This also applies.
But they're making a remake.
11, but you get the point that I'm trying to
I know
make.
it's different teams and
These
stuff. I know how
long
game
delays are
development
really
works a little bit,
affecting
but
how many new fans of JRPGs
seriously
are getting into the genre? Now you could argue that they can just go back and play a previous.
Well, that's the thing. They're not going to JRPGs. Those JRPGs people are becoming gacha game people. That's why Genshin Impact has 20 million active accounts registered a month. Apparently, from what my memory serves me right, a few months ago, Genshin Impact has 20 million active player base. That means within the year, they had 20 million accounts active. Just think about that. That's why the fan base is so freaking crazy. By the way, it has literally everybody in it. Everybody who would like anime aesthetic was in there. Was a player at some point, or is currently still a player. So it's crazy. It's crazy. They're pushing people out of this genre. And you can see it with a lot of people. You know, you see it with a lot of stuff. You see a lot of like, people don't talk about RPGs that much. When they do, they love them. But you know, they have Clay Obscure brought them back, but that was a Western RPG that was based off of Japanese RPGs, which tickled the fancy of a lot of people. Didn't really do much for me. I need to go back and see if it still does, but it didn't do much for me. But it's why people love Clay Obscure.
This game, but it's hard to do that until you're made a diehard fan. Once you get a few games from a franchise under your belt, that's when you really start considering going back to the past to play some of the classics that haven't been advertised as much because the marketing for it happened decades ago.
Fun fact, I played Kingdom Hearts 1 last.
Of remakes becoming more successful.
I played all the other Kingdom Hearts games first before I played 1. I did not like 1 for that reason. Not that much. It was okay.
Visible without really progressing. You stop expecting movement with mainline entries, and you start expecting updates on ports, remasters, and announcements that buy time instead of defining the new direction.
They're buying time.
That's when you'll feel that the hesitation
makes
stops feeling like something that's
slow
just
down.
a temporary moment and starts feeling like a structural strategy. Remakes stop functioning as they had in the past.
Yeah, it's kind of like it almost feels like they're trying to get money to supply themselves in the meantime with their big bangers.
Insurance against backlash, insurance against uncertainty, and insurance against committing to a hard direction that might not land with the entire fan base. The danger isn't that any of these remakes exist. The danger is that they've started to shift to become the center of the brand.
Right.
As long as the past keeps performing, there's really no urgency to move beyond it. Progression doesn't stop outright, but it really starts to slow down behind the scenes. Now, none of this means that I think remakes are a mistake. Right now, they're doing exactly what the publishers
doing what
need.
it's doing what they're supposed
to. Keep the franchises visible.
It's what the publisher's expecting out of this problem.
And reducing uncertainty while the production timelines have stretched. So in the short term, this is the perfect solution because it works. The problem is that it creates the pause instead of continuously trying to innovate new ideas to push the franchise forward. Every remake buys time, but it doesn't decide the future direction. It keeps the lights on without showing where the road is going to next.
Right.
And the longer that pause lasts, the more normal the hesitation starts to feel. Franchises continue to remain active, years pass, releases happen, and yet the future still feels undefined. That's when you give the opportunity for an Expedition 33 that's clearly
that's what I was saying.
By JRPGs to come in and steal the show. But that safety has a limit. Every franchise
it'll die at some point. It'll die at some point.
Limited number of stories that you can revisit without losing their weight. Eventually, returning again stops feeling like a meaningful celebration and will become a feeling of routine. And that reaction of the new remake getting announced is going to continue to grow quieter because people are going to get fed up of playing the same thing over and over again.
And that's the funny thing, that what he's saying right here is true. I'm making this reaction long. I'm almost making my own video in between. But the biggest problem I have with the RPG stuff is that not only did you used to get RPGs very short amount of time, which is, the longer time periods, as long as it's not too long, it's fine. But the problem is they had spin-offs. And everyone loved the spin-offs. And that also went to gacha games as well. Kingdom Hearts used to have a lot more spin-offs, but Dark Road, I think it was Unchained X or whatever it was called. And then that one that got canceled. All those were originally always spin-offs, but they made it into a gacha game. You have your spin-offs to the main Kingdom Hearts series, by the way, that has the same story. It's still within the same universe and has important story segments as a gacha game. Pokemon, all the Pokemon side story. You used to have Pokemon Tronze. They used to have Pokemon Conquest. All that kind of stuff, they're gacha games now. Like that Pokemon Cafe mix. All that stuff used to be stuff that people had in between games. And now they just completely are like, now it's completely like, they just remake stuff all the time. I'm like, they need to go back to, if they're not going to if the stuff is still going to take as long as it's going to, they need to start doing side content in non-gacha game format, because you cannot beat Genshin. You cannot beat. The only thing that's like competitively from a JRPG that's doing well is Persona 5X, which is doing okay, just doing okay. Everything else is like your series is not built for this. They try to do that with Dissidia, or how you say Dissidia. I always never say it right, but Dissidia of Final Fantasy. Why are you making Dissidia into a gacha game? Why are you doing this? And it doesn't even look good. You cannot be Genshin, you cannot be Wuwa, you cannot be any of ZZZ, because they design. I always say this: fresh characters outside of Dragon Ball Z and like Naruto and that, fresh characters always trump over. Like fresh ideas in a gacha game space will always trump over ideas that were used previously in a TV show or a video game, unless it's Dragon Ball Z or Mickey Mouse or Disney or something legendary. If it's not something legendary, your gacha game is always going to be beneath those other ones. That's why Love and D Space is original, Genshin's original, Arknights is original, Brown Dust 2 is original, Snowbreak's original characters, original ideas. Only thing you see up there with is Dragon Ball, Naruto. Duh. So they really need to bring those back. They really need to bring back the side spin-offs.
That's when the pressure is going to become impossible to ignore, because once the path runs out, the future's going to stop being so optional. There will be nothing left to lean on, no archives or past games to retreat
and no one's going to
into,
remember.
and no familiar moment left for you to reactivate. The genre hasn't reached that moment yet, but it's going to, edging closer.
Yeah.
You can feel it in how often remakes are used to maintain presence, and you can feel it in just how careful newer projects are framed. You can also feel it in how reluctant studios are to define the next era of each franchise clearly.
Right.
And when that pressure finally catches up, JRPGs won't move forward because inspiration suddenly appeared. They'll move forward because there's no more nostalgia left to stand on.
Right. I think the only franchise that can do that is Pokemon. The only thing that can do that is Pokemon. Because what Pokemon does is that they make the game okay, and then they can Pokemon does this thing where they can make a game okay, and then they improve upon what they've done previously 10 times over. And so Pokemon's a smart one. They have a whole cycle, so it's completely different than the rest of the JRPGs. Pokemon's always going to succeed because they made sure Pokemon's always going to make tons of money. Even if all of us quit Pokemon today, they will still make tons of money. That's the way to design Pokemon. But yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your time. And if you want another video essay like this one, feel free to check out this video right here, where I discuss why JRPGs are targeting the wrong audience.
Oh, I believe that too. Oh, look, he has one. He has one right there. Why so many JRPGs go on mobile? I have not seen that one. These two look really fire. Hold up. Let me look at his channel really quick for one video just to show you what he's got on here, because I haven't seen everything. I just kind of seen a video or two from him. Oh my god. Oh, that's the last video. That was 8 days ago. Yo. Oh look, he's got to talk about the city. Dude, guys, follow this guy. He's got. Okay, he just started doing this video essay stuff, but these are all awesome topics. I almost want to react to each one of these. But I don't want to overdo it on somebody's content. I probably definitely do the why so many RPGs end up on mobile. I might just do that one. So if you're okay with it, my man, if you end up ever seeing this, but the Dissidia one, I might keep that. I might watch that myself. Just keep that to myself, maybe. But I definitely want to see this one. So yeah, please follow this guy. His content. I've seen one or two of his other stuff for like other games, but this is my first time I've seen his stuff like straight up. Like I haven't seen his new video essay format stuff. So wow. He knows what he's talking about. So yeah, please follow him. And please follow, sorry, put on screen, Tag the Legend. And thank you so much, everybody. I made this video probably twice as long than his was, but I had a lot to say. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye-bye.
What are you search for? Said this before, like the face.